That was beautiful. That's one of my, that's my jam right there. As they say, it's my jam. Let's pray. All right. Oh, we're so thankful for this moment, God. I'm ready to open myself, open my heart. Help us to hear a word intended for us this day. Move now as only you can, Spirit of the living one. Amen. Amen. Yeah, that's my jam. This is an interesting kind of week, and I like it a lot. I like this week a lot. It's that kind of in-between time, and the weather has been helping a lot. It's kind of been cozy. The snow's been coming down, kind of layering thick on what has been, and yet in the layering and the falling, there's a newness, there's a freshness about the week, about this day, about this morning. This definitely is a kind of in-between time where we're looking back on what has been and we're also looking forward. It brings out the best reflective selves that we are. A time of noticing where we're waking up and where we have been asleep, a time of transforming what has been and staying open to possibilities. An in-between kind of time, a threshold-making kind of time. Here was 2016, and across this imaginary line, this threshold, 2017. Here is who I was. Here is who I am becoming. Here is what held me back. And here is the courage to step into something new. It's an in-between kind of week, and the kind of week of the church that it descends with a holy quietude. It's not as busy, it wasn't as busy this past week here at Hillhurst. And so there was time to ponder, time to mull, time to take stock, time to notice. Kind of like that perfect moment we had together as a community last weekend. It was just emblazoned on our hearts and on those beautiful Christmas cards. And up here on the stage, too, that perfect creche scene with the silhouette of the stable and the manger. A baby had come into the world, and there were shepherds and sheep and angels and everyone paying homage, and it was perfect. And there was a still time, and we gave thanks. But you know what? In all of those moments, life seems to interrupt, and the still time doesn't last very long. Lots of interruption this past week. You heard me mention about the service that's happening this afternoon and the loss that was there. We had in our own family a connection with beloved friends who live in California. And Steve's mother, at 99 years old, died on December 26. Change. We had a change and a different kind of ritual that happened here in the sanctuary just yesterday. And John presided over a wedding here in this space yesterday afternoon. Life interrupting, life happening. In the midst of still moments, life comes. It happened in the Christmas story too. Right after that beautiful moment, away in a manger, and they were all bowing, there was absolute chaos. The wise men had come in and brought with them gifts of frankincense, myrrh, and gold, not the diapers we know, not the baby formula, but gifts that spoke to a chaos that was coming. Gifts of royalty, indicators, gifts that there was disruption and possibly death on the horizon. And the family got word that life was going to interrupt them in this in-between space. And they got word that Herod had sent out a decree to have the firstborn sons of families killed, because he was threatened by the news that a little one had been born who would succeed the throne of David. Talk about interruption, life happening. Did you hear what I said? This family just had a little one, and they heard from the government of the day that a creed had been issued that all the firstborn sons would be murdered by the government. That's what we're talking about. And that's what happened in the time of Jesus, life interrupting. There's going to be chaos. And there was. And in the in-between time, Mary and Joseph and the infant and thousands of others had to make decisions about how they would respond in that real-time, real-life situation. And Mary and Joseph decided to flee. And they became aliens in another land, foreigners, refugees. They made their way to Egypt. Life interrupting. I also like this week because there's something about acknowledging that in the chaos, in the disruption of life, we have a possibility of starting anew, making fresh steps. No one here today got the news that they need to become refugees in a new land. But we probably have in our heart a stirring that knowing that life will continue to unfold, there's something new we can step into. There's an approach that we can take to life to deal with whatever is coming our way. A fresh start. Many of us like to ritualize that. And again, over this week, I saw the rituals unfold. How many of us were outside burning pieces of paper last night, howling at the new moon? Any of us? Just me? There's this real confluence coming together of different rituals. I know of girlfriends who scribe on old school, paper and pen, and they write down all the things that they want to let go of the year gone. Maybe you've done this. And then on New Year's Eve last night, you put them into a big cauldron, a big pot outside, and you light them ablaze. And as they're firing, you name the things that you want to bring into your life that year. Or last night, new moon happening, and you're looking up, and that's a time of saying what you want to bring into your life again. Or on the solstice, when I was dancing at Scarborough United Church in a sacred circle of women, and we were welcoming in the light and welcoming in our intentions, a confluence of rituals, fresh start. Or Lloyd and I have one, and I brought it here, a ritual that we do. This is a geode, a rock. Kind of ugly, well, maybe beautiful to some, beautiful to me, but gnarly, creviced, rough, and coarse. But there's something inside of this geode. And so we have the ritual of going out to our front steps, nice solid cement steps, and saying to one another the things that we thought were gnarly and coarse and rough and dirty from last year, and giving thanks for the beauty that would emerge from them and the hopefulness of the new year. And we placed the geode on the ground, and we took a hard metal tool and we hit the geode. And every time we hit it, we said one of our new intentions for the year: forgiveness. That I'll choose to be kind, that I'm ready to recommit, that I will be brave and I will be bold. And then when we were ready, we looked at each other and said, I love you, I love you, I choose you, I choose you. And then Lloyd takes the geode in the cloth and literally smashes it. And it opens. And inside, this reminder that there's something yet to be seen. An unknown that then becomes known. Something beautiful, something possible, something new. So I love this time of year, reminders of the fresh starts in the midst of all the chaos. And maybe you have a ritual that you do. There's this shared common ritual I think we all have. Have you heard of these resolutions? Yeah. This was the week also where I heard the phrase over and over. So, any resolutions this year? And I cringed at it this year. Maybe you have some, but I definitely didn't. Any New Year's resolutions this year? This kind of shared cultural ritual of wanting to step over into something new. I noticed that there was lots of talk about resolutions this year. People were debating on CBC and in the Globe and Mail whether or not resolutions were something that we should really give our attention to for the new year. How do you feel about resolutions? Do you have the mindset that if you put a resolution before you, you'll step into it, you'll make it happen, the go-getter kind of posture? That's one of the positives, the pros around resolutions. We put it out there, we're positive. I've got this, I'll make this happen, I'm going to do this. Do you have that kind of mindset? Or maybe resolutions aren't your thing and they're more on the con side for you because you think that willpower is something of a limited resource. You use and use and use and use, and then when you're done, you just got to give it and have that chocolate cake. Maybe the resolutions are more on a con side for you. Maybe the resolutions feel like not this year, they didn't work last year. We had a really rough 2016. Maybe I don't have the power to sustain it. Maybe I shouldn't bother making the resolutions because life interrupts anyway, and I'm going to have to deal with it and change with it. Or maybe you're more on the pro side again, and like my leadership coach who reminds me, hey, you've got to have goals. You've got to have SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, timely goals, SMART goals if you want to get anything done. But then I go to have a conversation with my spiritual director who says, but the spiritual life doesn't work that way. Maybe it's not about goal setting and resolution making. Maybe it's the both and. Or maybe it's like what Stephen Harper, not that Stephen Harper, another Stephen Harper, a member of our church, said to me this week in that in-between time, lingering here in the sanctuary. What would you entitle the sermon this week, Stephen? And he said, not a resolution. And that hit me as true. That's probably what I need this year. Not a resolution, not a resolution like I've done in the past where I've tried to will and push my way into a new reality, because the spiritual life and transformation doesn't work that way. It doesn't necessarily work like that geode. I've got to take who I am and work with who I am in order to become the next better me. It's like the quote that was on my calendar this year. I have one of these little sayings calendars. December 31st, January 1. This is just last night. Learning how to love is the goal. Learning how to love is the goal and the purpose of spiritual life. Not learning how to bow or chant or do yoga or even meditate, those things that might have been my resolutions for last year. But learning to love, a process, a journey. Love is the truth. Love is the light. I wonder if those magi knew something about that. If they knew it was less about willing our way into following the signs and willing our way to find God, but more about taking that journey of learning, that journey of opening ourselves. Mary got on a donkey, they probably got on camels, and their journey didn't start the night that the star appeared. It likely started months, and the research and the searching and the seeking started years before that moment. An opening up, a being on the process, a being on the journey. So if it's not a resolution, at least for me this year, then what is it that I need to take with me into this new beginning to help me cross this threshold from what I've known into what is yet to be known? There's an ancient poet and theologian, Rilke is the name. And Rilke has a quote about living into the questions. That we live into the questions of who we are becoming and who we desire to be. That we don't spend our time trying to answer the questions, but we live into them and allow the questions and the answers to emerge. So I wonder if it's not resolutions, if I need to take questions with me into the new year. Here are a few that I've come up with. How can I let go of my need for fixed answers in favor of aliveness? What is my next challenge in daring to be human? How can I open myself to the beauty of nature and human nature? Who or what do I need to learn to love next, and next, and next? What is the new creation that wants to be born in and through me? Morning, Lucas. I have a hunch that this year, 2017, life is going to continue to create interruptions. Probably not being prophetic there, just an observation. And it's probably not going to be a willpower of resolution, forcing or bullying my way into being different that will help me deal with and approach those life interruptions. It's more likely the questions. What is my next challenge in daring to be human? In 525,600 minutes, I wonder what your living question will be. Will it be, as the song says, what about love? Will it be about how will I be brave? Will your question be about what new creation is being born in you? I think it's a year to resolve to live with the great questions as we enter into a new year of uncertainty and cross into a new threshold. So let's land this reflection with your own thoughts. Bruce is just going to play a minute or two and allow those daydreams of possible questions to fill your heart and mind. And take notice if there is a question that you'd like to take with you, step into the new year with. A question that opens heart, that opens possibility, one that can linger with you and in you in the days ahead. What is your question for 2017? Here in this place, our questions live. In this community, as we begin a new year together, our questions matter. They live in a place within us that is real and honest, that yearns and that searches. Hear our questions, O God. May they be as a Christmas light unto the world and into our living, guiding and shaping our actions, our thoughts, and our decisions. Who, what, how, when, will, why. May the question that you place within us continue to shape and guide us this coming year. We give thanks in God's name. Amen.